Ms.
Madam,
People?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir, Dr. Brown.
I had a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Perez. Through the chair, just generally speaking, I know that a lot of things have transpired over the past several years, and obviously the pandemic has really shifted a lot of our focus on safety, security, and things of that nature and health. But relative to the 1.2 billion dollar bond, through the chair, can we give an update, not a long one, where are we in terms of the dollar amounts expended to date? How much money is remaining on the $1.2 billion initial fund allocation from 2012?
Through the chair, Dr. Gallen, we've expended approximately $830.7 million of the GOB. We've completed 231 projects of the 339 main GOB projects. We've completed 639 projects of the total of 749 pull-out projects. And we continue to implement the GOB. And we've actually had the opportunity to accelerate projects during this time when we did not have students at the facility by actually having our contractors do more work, take more space, take more areas that we would not have if school was in session. So we've been able to accelerate a number of projects that are coming online now for the bricks and mortar opening, hopefully as soon as maybe next month. That still has to be decided, but the facilities there are ready, and we continue to notice that construction prices have actually dropped a bit due to the pandemic and I guess the market conditions. So we've enjoyed some favorability there on some construction awards, but overall the GOB project, Dr. Gallen, has not missed a step, and we continue to implement it soundly and with high fidelity.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Follow up, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
okay if I send those?
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Relative to the 800 and what did you say, 837 million spent?
830.7 million.
Okay, 830.7 spent. How much has been committed to? So we may have some projects that have already been commissioned, if you will, but it's not been spent.
Correct. Correct.
So of the 830 million point seven, there's some additional projects that have already been committed to, but the money is not going out through the chair. Is that correct?
Through the chair, correct, Dr. Gallen. 830.7 million is expended. We have another 60 million contracted, which is through contracts that we have let out.
So that's 890.7 million that's been committed, either expended or committed at this particular point through the chair.
Through the chair, correct, sir.
So that gives us about $330 million left on the initial 1.2 billion through the chair.
That is correct, Dr. Gallen, through the chair.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any updated, do we anticipate any update relative to some of the diversity levels relative to the 890.7 million that we can look forward to? I know we get them through the chair. We get them in increments at various committee meetings. We're very, very grateful for those updates. But do we anticipate an imminent date for a comprehensive cumulative update relative to diversity spend pursuant to the disparity study and related issues through the chair?
Through the chair, Dr. Gallen, I believe the diversity study is actually ongoing, and there could be a draft report that we're looking at. Each individual item does go to goal setting for the GOB. They do establish goals, and they are presented to you in each board item, as you can see here on F41. We do exceed all the goals that were established by the goal setting committee. As far as a general report, I can circle back with the Office of OEO and see what determination is when they will issue a report on all the spend and the diversity related to that spend.
Yes, through the chair. I appreciate that, Mr. Perez. And yes, you're correct. Just for the listening public, you all do a great job of providing us with that information during committee. And you're correct on the particular projects. It does reflect the diversity levels relative to the goals that have been established. but obviously that would have to be calculated for a numerical value, answering the question, how much money does that equate to? So we have percentages on those particular projects, but I'm looking at how much money relative to not just the individual projects, but the $890.7 million that has either been expended or contracted to date. How much money has that translated in a cumulative way outside of a disparity study, but a report that we can provide for as an update? And through the chair, since you mentioned the report, when was the last annual report? We do an annual report on OEO that may or may not have that number, through the chair. When was that done? So two questions: the 890.7 million expended and contracted, how much money pursuant to the diversity levels cited in the disparity study, not a new disparity study, but those areas that are cited in the disparity study, how much money has that translated to? Percentages are great. We want that too, but money and percentages, when can we have something like that on the 890.7 million? And additionally, have we had the recent annual report that reflects those as well, through the chair? I see Ms. Andrio just popped up on the screen.
Good afternoon, through the chair. So at the last committee meeting, Dr. Gallen, we did give you the OEO update, and as of June 30th, 2020, we did give you the percentage and the dollar amounts for all of the GOB projects. I don't know if you have a specific question or group in mind, but I do have that data. And the annual report was also transmitted to you via email through the superintendent's office. It was an email link, and we will be providing you a hard copy. It's actually arriving tomorrow from the printer.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll take a group, African Americans. What does that percentage and what does that number look like on the 890.7 million?
So my number is actually on 809 because it is as of June 30th. I believe that maybe Mr. Perez is doing to date. Mine is always a little bit further behind than his. So that number was 44 million, and that is 10.61% of all certified spend and 5.44% of all spend, including certified and non-certified.
Through the chair, so of your number, so that's three numbers. Your number was 800. I understand why there's a lapse. There's a lag. I'm sorry, there's a lag. Your number is what, through the chair? What is your number?
$44 million.
No, your cumulative number, your 800 plus, what, your 800 what?
809.
Your 809 million, you're capturing. What is the percentage of that spend that went to African Americans?
Through the chair, that is 10.61% of all certified dollars and 5.44% of all dollars certified and non-certified.
So the total, through the chair, is actually 5 combined. What's the total average? Is it 5 or is it 10 total? I understand the distinction between certified, but of that money, whether you're certified or not certified, but you have that common criteria of being African American, how much money, what was the percentage of money going to you, whether you were certified or not certified?
That would be
percentage.
Through the chair, that percentage would be 5.44.
So of the $809 million, certified and non-certified combined, the percentage went to African Americans was 5 point what percent?
Through the chair, 5.44.
Wow. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Follow-up question, Madam Chair? Follow-up question just for...
Yes, sir.
And through the chair, what, based on your analysis, represents the demographic of African Americans in this community?
Through the chair, so there's a difference, and we'll discuss that obviously with the disparity study. The demographics is a little less than 20%, but then through the disparity study, we look at the demographics in terms of African American owned businesses, which is a little bit less than the demographics in terms of just population. So we have to look at the ready, willing, and able.
Okay. Through the chair, what's the demographic of the ready, willing, and able?
The ready, willing, and available data is a little different, and it will be outlined to the entire board through the disparity study. And I believe Mr. Perez told you we are in the final phase of that disparity study. We're reviewing the chapters right now with Miller 3, our consultants. So that information will be presented to you in totality. I don't want to comment on that before they've had an opportunity to get us all of the percentages and data.
But through the chair, taking that out of the equation, is it safe to say that the demographic data that reflects the population of the percentage of African Americans throughout Miami-Dade County outside of the ready, willing, and able is around 20%, a little under 20% based on your numbers? You mentioned 19.
Through the chair, it's probably close to that, probably a little less. Again, I would have to go back to the disparity study data from Miller 3.
Through the chair, we're not very clear, and I'm not being imposing. We're not clear on what our data point is relative to the demographics of African Americans in this community. We're not very clear and concise and direct about what our understanding is of that. Through the chair, I'm just looking for what is the benchmark that we utilize on a dashboard. I know we utilize a lot of dashboards. What's the dashboard data point for African Americans in this community that we're utilizing? Is it 19%? Is it 24%? Is it less than? Through the chair?
Through the chair, it's less than. And Dr. Gallen, there are several different ways to look at it because they use different sources. They use census data, they use Info USA. So as you know, with data, it depends on the source. So I can't just give you one hard, fast answer, and I don't want to mislead or misrepresent the office or the information. So they use several different sources, and we can talk about just Miami-Dade or the Tri-County area. So that's why I really would rather present all of the data in its totality, just for accuracy purposes. But it would be less than 20% through the chair.
Well, through the chair, I'm not so consumed about what they're using. What do we use? What is our source? I understand data. With all due respect, I completed a dissertation over 22 years ago at FIU, a quantitative and both a qualitative, so I understand statistics. And part of the narrative is garbage in, garbage out. So I'm saying I understand what the source is. So we have to utilize our source when we're talking about data. So when we're looking at our data points that we're going to utilize as the metric for opportunities for improvement, we have to utilize one source of data, one benchmark that is our milestone, that is our North Star that we're looking at relative to Miami-Dade County. And I'm just kind of perplexed that we don't have a number. I'm not saying you have to have it right now, but I don't want to have it later. I think the public wants to consume that number. And anytime I'm going to ask that question, I would expect us to reasonably have that answer, because I'm juxtaposing whatever number you give me, whatever number you give me, whatever number you give me, I'm juxtaposing that to 5%. So if that number is 10%, if we happen to fall down on the latest census and we're 10% of this population, I'm going to juxtapose that to 5% of the $809 million that's been spent. If we're 15% of the population, I'm going to juxtapose that to that particular number. If we're 20% or less than 20%, I'm going to juxtapose that. But I'm at a disadvantage relative to juxtaposition because I don't have a benchmark that's established that we can finalize as a number. I don't want to belabor it, Madam Chair. I didn't know what was going to come out of this, but I'm actually more intrigued around this discourse because this dog still hunts. The dog on diversity, the dog on inclusion, the dog on equity, this dog still hunts. And I think it's high time that we do a little more hunting. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no more questions.
Thank you, through the chair.